What is up, everybody? This is Night Shifts, and I'm back for episode 2. And we're going to be here in week 1, and all there is to do is recruit. But I'm also going to show you guys a bunch of stuff, including uh, preseason polls. And here we go. Let's go all the way down and see where we ended up in the first preseason poll. Check it out. We are coming in at 68. With a D, D+, D, and C+, and we're at 61 overall, 66 offense, and a 61 defense. And now we're going to check out the conference outlook, and actually, they got me looking pretty good in the conference here this year. So, we'll see what happens. Only Toledo is supposed to be better than me in the MAC, and I'm supposed to win my side, so from what we're looking at, looks pretty good. And as you look at the championship contender ratings, alright, now we're going to switch on over to do the recruiting. And this recruiting process is going to take a little while. If you watch season 1, you pretty much know my strategy with the 10-minute calls and where I do 20-minute calls and how I spread it out at the beginning. But just stick with it, and I got a couple of new wrinkles that I'm going to throw in there this year that are for year 2 that will help you out if you're doing your own. First one was in the previous episode when I showed you to do all of the offensive linemen at the beginning, and in week 1 I like to do the quarterbacks if I can. I try to go for 3 quarterbacks generally. I put 4 on there just to see if I could move up there on this guy's list high enough to try to get him, but I couldn't. So I knocked him off, and now there's 3 quarterbacks on the list. I scout them all, and they are what they are. The Williams looks like he might be pretty good. He's 78 maybe. Hopefully he doesn't get worse when I scout him. Alright, now that all these offensive linemen have been scouted already, we can start doing phone calls on them and knowing exactly how much time I really want to spend on them later. But for now, we're going to do exactly what my strategy was last year, and that is 10 minutes for all the guys on the bottom of the list. And all we're going to do is give them a promise of no red shirt. And as you can see, it gets me 174 points for the call, and that's important in the beginning because I'm betting on most of these guys not having an offer to play anywhere else, and since they're not going to have an offer to play anywhere else, I'm the only offer. I won't have to spend too much time on them. And if there are a couple of guys that I need to fight for this year, I should be able to, since we did have a good season last year, and I think I'm going to have another good season this year. So that's the strategy to this point. But as you can see, I'm going to take this quarterback and I'm going to move him all the way up to number 1 on the list because he's looking pretty good. He's a 78, and he could really help if I get him next year. So, just like before, I'm going to spend an hour on him. It's probably too much, but in the first week, I have all the promises I can do, and we have a couple of decent graded stuff, as you can see, that has gotten better, and so we'll see what happens with him. But he's definitely going to be a priority for me to get. It's definitely going to be important for me to get a quarterback, considering my quarterback's a senior, and the guys behind him, including the ones that I recruited last year, are not so great. So we got 10 minutes per guy going right now, and then I'm going to choose a couple more to do 20 minutes on, and then I'll do 40 minutes on the other guys that are more important. But the thing that everybody needs to realize is in the first couple of weeks of recruiting, when you're not a grade school, it is very important to spread it out and make sure that you get a little bit of attention to all of these guys that aren't, they should not be high on anybody's list to get. I mean, you can see they're all starting out at like 67, 65, 69. These guys are not going to be very high on anybody's list, so we want to get their interest, get it up, and then close on them later, and make sure we get their visits in like by week 6, week 7, and we'll have a good chance of getting all these guys and then pulling away on them when we get the chance. So that's why you spread it out early, and later on we close. You guys will notice that in the later seasons, when you do a promise like this, the reason why the bigger schools make it easier to get those guys over you is because instead of getting 180 points like that, I would be getting like 350 points for each promise. As long as you keep your promises, your integrity goes up, and it's worth that much more. So that's why that's very important. And by the end of this season, by the time we do the off-season recruiting, you're gonna understand how important it actually is to make all those promises and keep all those promises, because it makes it that much easier to get some guys. As far as the recruiting goes for the rest of this season, you guys are going to notice that I'm going to add some guys, knock some guys off, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do when I do it. I'm not just going to add people without showing you guys. At certain weeks, every time I delete a certain number of guys from my list, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more, because as you go during the season, there's going to be 3-star guys and 4-star guys that nobody's paying attention to, that frankly are good enough for us to pay attention to. Just because they might not be great at the position that they're listed at doesn't mean they can't be better at a position that we switch them to during the off season. So it's entirely possible that we can recruit a linebacker that's a 3-star guy that's got like 80 speed, and he's not all that great at linebacker, but he might be a pretty decent defensive end. Or maybe a middle linebacker that's a slower guy, he could end up being a decent defensive tackle. So stuff like that, all that kind of stuff goes into making your team better, is getting those guys moved around into spots where they can be successful. That's the most important thing. And as you can see, I just knocked a couple of people out, and we're down to 31 guys, and I got 5 hours left to spend on all of these offensive linemen. Now, this guy I think is going to be very important. He's a 1-star guy, he's a junior, he's a JUCO. I'm only going to get him for 2 years, but he's starting out at a 79, and that is by far going to be my best offensive lineman. So you're going to see me really try to get him, but I'm not overdoing it. You see, I'm only giving him 40 minutes, but that's still me trying to really go for him. And same with a bunch of the other guys. You don't need to overdo it with these guys, because the odds are that you're going to be the only one going for them. And like I said before, I can't get all of these guys, even if I wanted to, which I don't. I just want to set it up so that I can pick which ones I want. If I have a chance to get the top 2 guys, then I'm going to get the top 2 guys at each position and call it a day. But say I get 3 tackles and 1 guard, I can move one of the tackles to guard. Or if I get 3 guards, 2 tackles and no center, I can move one of the guards to center. They're mix and match. You just got to make sure that you get guys that are decent up front that can be moved around. That's why you see me always looking for offensive linemen with a little bit better speed, especially because of all the traps and counters and off tackle runs that I run where the guards pull. It's important to have quicker offensive linemen rather than always the strongest, because that's how you break big runs in the running game. At least that's in my scheme. Alright, so now we're down to 2 hours left. We're down to the guards, and I think as far as this video goes, the only thing I have left to do is show you guys this part, and the next video will be the one where I show the first game of the season and whatnot. But as you can see, there's not much left to do here except for finish up with all these offensive linemen. And in the next episode, I will definitely have a gameplay for everybody to see, and a little bit more recruiting tips as far as season 2 goes. So make sure everybody tunes in for next week. And if you guys have any comments or anything, definitely let me know. I like to read the comments, see what you guys are thinking about the season and stuff like that. Give me some suggestions if there's anything you guys think that I could do better. Definitely would love to hear anything like that, and I definitely appreciate the feedback. So anytime you guys want to leave a comment, definitely appreciate that. Alright, so now we're down to the last guy, so he's going to get the last 30 minutes, and I just do the no redshirt thing. It's easy to do that. You can't mess it up, and like I said before, season 3 is where you really find out why I do all that stuff. It makes so much easier to recruit when your integrity goes all the way up. Alright guys, so that's it for this episode, and just tune in next week for week 2, episode 3, and game number 1, where we'll be playing UTSA, so it should be a good game. Peace.